Okay, welcome back guys. Today we're going to speak about the six different human species that lived on planet Earth at the same time.
And many people don't know about this. This is not often taught in public schools. But today we're going to jump right into when these species existed, what they looked like, and if they possibly interacted with each other.
Yeah, so plug in your headphones, pop some popcorn, and if you're that kind of a person, light it up and let's have fun.
Believe it or not, but these guys right here are our closest ancestors. We know your first thought is that they don't look very beautiful. Maybe that's why they got extinct, I don't know. But anyway, some of these hominid species actually did exist for a longer time by far than we Homo sapiens have so far. Like these guys, for example.
This small species is called Homo floresiensis. They lived on small islands in Indonesia, which at the time had a lot more land compared to now. As we showed you in the last video, make sure to check that out.
The earliest archaeological records of Homo floresiensis is approximately 100,000 years old, but they could have existed even earlier than that. It is believed that they died out some 12,000 years ago, since no later skeleton remains have been discovered.
Anyways, this species is commonly known for its incredibly small size. The normal height was around 100 to 110 centimeters, like a 5-year-old human child. The males weighed only about 25 to 30 kilos and the females weighed even less.
So you wonder why they became so small? Let me tell you, it's called insular dwarfism and can occur in species that are, for example, isolated in an area where the food resources are very scarce, and therefore the individuals who were smaller didn't have to consume as much food as bigger individuals, and therefore had a bigger chance of survival, eventually causing the entire species to become smaller and smaller since it was more advantageous. Now, there's still some rumors that these guys still exist actually in an island called Flores, Indonesia, where they seem to have existed. And I think it was a couple months ago actually, a guy was biking up in the mountains and all of a sudden this little midget man just runs in front of his bike and he's like tripping, just falling down, and accidentally got it on tape on his GoPro camera.
Yeah, so that video got like 2 or 3 million views. So you can speculate around it, if it's false, if it's real.
Yeah, we don't know, but we'll definitely link the video in the description, and we'll show you a video of what it looks like. And he was like so confused. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the screenshot of the video on YouTube. We're gonna put the link in bio so you can check the full video out.
Yeah, man, I don't know if it's fake. It looks, I don't know.
It looks a bit suspicious, but...
Yeah, you can search it out for yourself and we'll see. Okay
guys, so moving on to the next species, Neanderthals.
It's Neanderthals actually. Some people are used to calling them Neanderthals, but because it's a TH in the word, but it's actually Neanderthals because the first discovery was found in Neander Valley in Germany, and you know the Germans, they would say it's something more like Neanderthal. Now, Neanderthals are our closest cousins. We split from the same ancestor, Homo heidelbergensis, approximately 500,000 years ago. One part of the Homo heidelbergensis species went outside of Africa and another one stayed. The group that chose to leave Africa later split into 2 more groups. One group walked towards Europe and Western Asia, and another group walked towards Eastern Asia and Siberia. These 2 groups later became Denisovans and the Neanderthals. The group that chose to stay in Africa later became us, Homo sapiens.
Okay, so we Homo sapiens left Africa somewhere between 70,000 years ago and 100,000 years ago. Some even estimate that we left earlier, as early as 180,000 years ago. The oldest Homo sapien fossil ever found is 300,000 years old.
Yeah, we got to Europe about 40,000 years ago, and when we got to Europe, we met Neanderthals. And in Neanderthals, we actually interbred with them. So that means that all Asians, Europeans, and all other races across the world has Neanderthal DNA in them, except for Africans. Now, if you lived 30,000 years ago and you met a Neanderthal, would you?
Yeah, we'll probably smash. Okay guys, moving on to the next species. The next species is called Homo erectus. They existed 1.9 million years ago and died out 150,000 years ago.
Yeah, and they still developed into derived species such as Homo heidelbergensis, and which later became Neanderthals and Denisovans. And the group that stayed in Africa became Homo sapiens eventually. So they had the longest lifespan of all hominid groups by far. They were the first species to harness and create fire. They also used pretty advanced stone tools. They were also the first species to leave Africa almost 1.9 million years ago, where they later migrated to Asia and Europe.
The males could weigh up to 90 kilos and could grow up to 185 centimeters, while the females only weighed about 50 kilos and grew up to 150 centimeters. As you can see, Homo erectus were very similar to Homo floresiensis if you consider the look on their face, but they differed a lot in size. Why they had similar facial appearances is because Homo floresiensis is a direct ancestor of Homo erectus.
Okay, so moving on to the next species, Denisovans.
Yeah.
We mentioned Denisovans before, and they were the group that, when they came to the Middle East, chose to move eastward to China and those countries, while the Neanderthals chose to move to Europe. So they split in the Middle East. Now, the Denisovans pretty much looked like the Neanderthals, and they pretty much had the same abilities as well.
Yeah, what's really cool about this species is that in 2008, scientists found a very cool and weird discovery in a Denisova cave in Siberia.
This artifact you're about to see is some 48,000 years old, and it was just recently discovered. This is an example of how much we don't actually know about our ancient past, and that there is much more to find out there. This green bracelet right here is what's so weird. Because of the hole in the bracelet, as you can see in the picture, have been drilled with very few errors. Scientists say that for a hole to be that well made, the drilling had to have been done with incredible speed, with some sort of technology that we never thought existed back then. Okay, so the next species we're about to show you is called Homo heidelbergensis, if you would say it in German. Yeah.
They existed 700,000 years ago to 300,000 years ago. They are the ancestors of the Denisovans, Neanderthals, and us. The males weighed about 60 kilos and grew up to 175 centimeters. The females weighed about 50 kilos and grew up to 160 centimeters.
On heidelbergensis there is a lot of fossils to pick from. Fossils have been found in large amounts in Africa and Europe. This species were the first to build shelters. Even though the shelters were simple, it still indicates that they were very intelligent and could cooperate well with each other. Okay, so the only species left that we haven't presented is Homo sapiens. That's us, and today we actually have a live example of a Homo sapien. Look at him.
What's up, guys?
He's tall, he's handsome, he's 75 kilos, 190 centimeters or something like that. Just pure beast, you know. And you might wonder, why were we the only species that survived? And one of the reasons why is because we have a different local vocal system than the other species, and that means that we have a more complex language. And that meant that we could trade information with each other, we could exchange ideas, and that led us forward into evolution. And the other species that were competing with us couldn't really catch up, and that's why they got extinct and we survived.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this video, and see you guys next time.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.